M.T. Anderson?
Why, yes, I am.
Could I ask you a few questions about writing?
Sure.
How would you describe your writing?
My writing doesn't really adhere to a particular genre or style. I think that it's part of the delightful challenge of being a writer to adapt to the demands of a particular project. In general, I guess I would describe my writing as Baroque.
One of the things that I love about your writing is your absurdist humor. When I read Octavian Nothing, I was surprised that it was stylistically so distinct from the Pals in Peril series. I'm wondering if you had any difficulty turning off your sense of humor. Do you find one style more liberating than the other?
In that case, I wrote the Pals in Peril books as vacation stints in the midst of writing the Octavian Nothing books. I didn't prefer one style to the other, but each afforded me a break from the other book. As my editor says, a change is as good as a rest.
When you write a novel, do you typically have an idea that propels you from beginning to end? Or do you formally plot out your novels with outlines and brief character sketches, etc.?
It varies from project to project. Some books I actually outline ahead, scene by scene. Others, like Feed, I wrote without knowing anything about the book's direction or ending. In my experience, books that emphasize exterior action profit from being more carefully structured ahead of time, whereas books that deal more with character and internality expand more naturally when you give them room to grow in unexpected ways. The danger of setting out without knowing where you're going is that you have to spend much more time cutting and revising in later drafts. Because there are often long stretches of the book where you're trying to find the story, you have to cut those out and sharpen the sense of movement for the reader. In the case of books that are plotted beforehand, it's important to give yourself leeway to depart from the plan if an interesting opportunity comes up.
How many drafts do you usually go through before you send a completed manuscript to your agent?
I often write about 40 pages before I submit a book to my editor with a synopsis. Then when I've gotten a contract, I rewrite those 40 pages and write the rest. I do 2 full drafts usually before I submit the whole book. Then typically there are 2 to 3 more drafts after the editor goes through the book. The first making more fundamental changes, the later ones focusing increasingly on line edits.
Do you have any particular writing routine?
I don't have a routine. In fact, often months go by without me writing, especially in the new frantic world of publishing where part of our job is self-promotion. I spend a lot of time traveling and speaking. Since you're interested in revision, I should say that one of the most important elements of revision is the time between drafts when you're not writing. It's absolutely essential to distance yourself a little from a project so you're able to judge it again.
Well, thanks for standing around and talking to me.
Sure, I hope I answered all your questions.